Oak Ridge Valley. The name itself conjured images of serene prosperity, of manicured lawns shimmering under sprinklers set to precise timers, of children riding bikes on spotless sidewalks beneath a canopy of mature oak trees. It was the portrait of the American dream, meticulously curated, aggressively maintained. Every blade of grass seemed to stand at attention, every hedge sculpted to within an inch of its life. And the fences? Oh, the fences were paramount. 48 inches. Not 47. Certainly not 50. 48 inches of cedar or approved vinyl, marking the boundaries of perfect, predictable lives. Here, conformity wasn't just encouraged. It was codified in the thick binder of the Homeowners Association bylaws, a document wielded with near-religious fervor. But some rules, the most potent ones, were never written down. They existed in the glances, the whispers, the selective enforcement. And sometimes, a mere 2 inches could become the front line of an unspoken war. Her name was Karen McGregor. Officially, she was merely the chairperson of the Architectural Review Committee, but in practice, she was the self-appointed guardian of Oak Ridge Valley's soul, the Grand Inquisitor of minor infractions. Early 50s, with a blonde bob helmeted by hairspray, she favored pastel twinsets and sensible walking shoes, ideal for patrolling her domain. Her clipboard was a constant accessory, her smartphone camera always poised, documenting perceived violations with the zeal of a war photographer. Her smile was thin-tight, rarely reaching eyes that constantly scanned for imperfection, for anything or anyone out of place. Then came Malik Jackson. He didn't fit the Oak Ridge Valley mold, and that, perhaps, was his first unforgivable violation. A black man, hardworking, sharp, raising his bright-eyed, 7-year-old daughter, Lila, on his own after his wife passed a few years prior. He worked remotely as a software engineer, quiet and diligent. Buying this modest ranch house, nestled on a street where most homes boasted an extra wing or a 3-car garage, was the culmination of years of disciplined saving, late nights coding, and skipped vacations. It wasn't just a house. It was stability, a good school district for Lila, a patch of green they could finally call their own. All he truly craved was a safe, enclosed space where Lila could chase butterflies, kick a ball, and just be a kid, without him hovering constantly. On move-in weekend, before the last box was even unpacked, he erected a fence. Simple, sturdy pine, professionally installed. 50 inches tall. 2 inches over regulation. The piece lasted less than 24 hours. That evening, as Malik was grilling burgers on the small patio, the doorbell chimed. Not a friendly, neighborly ring, but a sharp, insistent summons. Through the peephole, he saw her, Karen, clipboard already in hand, tapping her foot impatiently. He opened the door, forcing a polite smile. "Can I help you?" Karen didn't return the smile. Her eyes flickered past him, assessing the interior hallway before settling back on his face with cool appraisal. "Mr. Jackson, is it?" Karen McGregor, Architectural Review Committee. She didn't offer a handshake. "I trust you received the welcome packet with the HOA covenants, conditions, and restrictions?" "Yes, I did. Still working my way through it," Malik admitted, gesturing towards the stacks of moving boxes visible behind him. "Well," she clipped, tapping a manicured finger on her clipboard, "allow me to direct your attention to Article 4, Section 3B, Fence Height Limitations. Maximum allowable height is 48 inches. Your new installation clearly exceeds this limit." Her gaze shifted towards the backyard, sharp and accusing. "It appears to be at least 50 inches. Malik felt a prickle of annoyance, but kept his tone even. "You're right, it's 50 inches. I specifically requested that height for safety. My daughter, Lila, she's 7, loves to play back there. The extra 2 inches just gives me peace of mind." Karen's expression remained unmoved, glacial. "The bylaws exist for uniformity and aesthetic harmony, Mr. Jackson. Safety concerns must be addressed within the established parameters. The fence will need to be removed or modified to comply immediately. Immediately? I just moved in, and it's 2 inches. Compliance is expected within 14 days, after which fines will accrue daily, she interrupted flatly. She paused, letting the silence stretch, her gaze sweeping over him with an unsettling mixture of pity and disdain. Perhaps if safety was such a unique concern, you should have considered purchasing a property in a community with less stringent aesthetic standards. Somewhere else. The implication hung heavy in the air, unspoken but clear. Somewhere you belong. Malik didn't modify the fence. He couldn't shake the condescension, the thinly veiled prejudice in her tone. Somewhere else. It echoed in his mind. He decided to wait, perhaps appeal to the full board, explain his reasoning. That was his mistake. He underestimated Karen's relentless determination. The notices started appearing, taped aggressively to his front door. Not just about the fence. Suddenly, everything Malik did was a violation. Karen was escalating. She drove past his house slowly several times a day. He saw her from his home office window, phone held up, presumably taking pictures. Once, he came out to get the mail and found her standing on the sidewalk, peering intently at his recycling bin, notepad in hand. She offered a saccharine smile. Just ensuring proper sorting, Mr. Jackson. Keeping Oak Ridge green. The pressure was immense. Malik felt scrutinized, targeted, unwelcome in his own home. Anger simmered beneath his calm exterior, a constant low-grade burn. He wanted to confront her, to yell, to demand she leave him and his daughter alone. He thought about posting her picture online, about rallying support. But he resisted. He knew how easily a black man's anger could be twisted, used against him, confirming the very stereotypes he was fighting. Retaliation felt like playing her game, a game rigged against him. Instead, he chose a different path. He documented. He saved every notice, every email exchange, however brief. He installed a discreet doorbell camera and 2 small security cameras overlooking his front and backyards. He meticulously recorded the timestamps of Karen's drive-bys. He filmed her peering over his regulation height side fence. He saved voicemails where her tone shifted from cloyingly polite to sharply demanding. He built his own file, a counter-narrative to the one Karen was constructing against him. He was gathering evidence, not just of bylaw violations, but of intent. The breaking point came not with a notice, but with a registered letter. An official summons to the monthly HOA board meeting to discuss ongoing compliance issues and potential liens against the property. The total fine cited had ballooned to over $800. They weren't just trying to force him to lower the fence. They were threatening his home. Malik arrived early, dressed neatly in slacks and a button-down shirt. He greeted a few neighbors he recognized with a polite nod. Some nodded back warmly. Others avoided his gaze. He took a seat near the front, his laptop bag resting by his feet. When the agenda reached property compliance review, 14 Oak Street, Karen cleared her throat, shuffling her papers with performative importance. Mr. Jackson, she began, addressing the room more than him. Despite numerous warnings and fines, the property at 14 Oak Street remains in violation regarding the fence height. Furthermore, a pattern of disregard for community standards has emerged, including violations related to property upkeep and noise. She gestured towards a thick file. The board has convened to consider further action, including placing a lien on the property until all violations are rectified and fines paid. A heavy silence filled the room. Malik felt the weight of expectant eyes. He stood up slowly, clutching a small USB drive. Mr. President, members of the board, neighbors, he began, his voice quiet but steady. May I present a brief response? The board president, a weary-looking man named Henderson, nodded hesitantly. "You have 5 minutes, Mr. Jackson." Malik walked to the front, plugged the USB drive into the community laptop connected to an old projector. The screen flickered to life. What unfolded on that screen wasn't just a defense. It was an indictment. Not with shouting or accusations, but with cold, hard facts. First, a clear, time-stamped video from his doorbell camera. Karen taping the excessive noise, warning to his door at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, while Lila was at school. Next, security footage showing Karen walking onto his lawn before 9 a.m. to photograph his sprinkler heads. Time-stamped the day before she issued the improper watering time violation. Then a montage. Karen's car driving slowly past his house, 5 times in one afternoon. Karen aiming her phone over his side fence. Karen arguing heatedly with the mail carrier for leaving a package partially visible on his porch. Screenshots of emails. His polite inquiries met with curt, dismissive replies. Her escalating threats, bolded and underlined. Finally, footage from the day she confronted him about the fence. Her words, "Maybe you should have bought a house somewhere else," echoed clearly in the quiet room. Gasps rippled through the audience. Neighbors exchanged uneasy glances. Karen's face flushed crimson, then turned deathly pale. When the final video ended, Malik turned off the projector and faced the room. His voice remained calm, devoid of malice, but heavy with undeniable truth. This was never about 2 inches of wood. From day one, the issue wasn't the height of my fence, but the fact that I built it. You see, the HOA bylaws are extensive. I walked the neighborhood yesterday. I counted 14 fences technically in violation. Too low, wrong material, unapproved gate style. I saw overgrown lawns, overflowing recycling bins, boats parked in driveways overnight. All clear violations according to the book. He paused, letting his words sink in, his gaze sweeping across the room, meeting the eyes of his neighbors. None of those homeowners received multiple fines within weeks of moving in. None were photographed daily. None were told their child's laughter was a nuisance. The rules in the binder are applied selectively. The real rules, the unwritten ones, seem to depend less on the infraction and more on the perceived status or the skin color of the resident. He looked directly at Karen, whose composure had completely crumbled. "You didn't want a lower fence, Mrs. McGregor. You wanted me lower. You wanted me uncomfortable. You wanted me gone. Because my presence, my family, my simple desire to build a safe life here somehow disrupted your vision of Oak Ridge Valley." The spell was broken. The carefully constructed facade of righteous rule enforcement had been shattered by documented reality. Mr. Henderson called for a motion to dismiss all fines and violations against Malik Jackson. It passed instantly, unanimously. Then came another motion. A vote of no confidence in Karen McGregor's position on the Architectural Review Committee, effectively removing her. It too passed overwhelmingly, with only Karen herself abstaining, sitting frozen in disbelief. The story didn't end in that sterile clubhouse room. A neighbor, moved by Malik's quiet dignity and appalled by the evidence, had recorded his entire presentation and speech on her phone. She asked Malik's permission, then uploaded it to a community Facebook group. From there, it escaped the confines of Oak Ridge Valley. Shared, commented on, reposted across platforms, it went viral. #FenceGate, #HORacism, #TruthBuildsHigher. Malik found himself inundated with thousands of messages. Emails from people across the country sharing similar stories of HOA harassment and subtle racism. Notes of support from veterans, single parents, people who understood the struggle to simply belong. Lawyers offered pro bono help if he wanted to pursue further action. He declined, content with the outcome. News outlets requested interviews. He politely refused most, wanting the focus to remain on the issue, not him. Life in Oak Ridge Valley began to shift, subtly but perceptibly. Some neighbors offered quiet apologies. Others simply started waving more warmly, their smiles reaching their eyes. The HOA board scheduled mandatory sensitivity and bias training. The atmosphere felt lighter, less policed. One afternoon, Malik set up his phone on a small tripod in the backyard. Lila chased a monarch butterfly that fluttered near the fence line, her laughter bright and free, no longer feeling like a potential violation. The butterfly landed gently on the top rail of the 50-inch fence. Malik smiled, a genuine, relaxed smile, and looked directly into the camera. "I built this fence for my daughter's safety, for her freedom to play without fear." Karen and the system she represented tried to build a wall, not just around my yard, but between me and my neighbors, between my family and this community. They used rules like bricks to divide us. But the truth? Documented truth? It always finds a way. It always climbs higher. He reached out and gently touched the fence, the wood warm beneath his hand. Lila ran over, holding up the newly painted birdhouse.